Welcome back to Project 3, Stage 3, working with multiple artboards. We have completed our logo, but we need to create some alternatives of the logo to be used in other applications. This one would be for print, for situations where you can do a four-color print, but it's not going to work for some things like screen printing something on a t-shirt or having it stitched onto a hat. You're going to need to simplify this logo down by eliminating some of the colors. If you haven't already zoomed out, you can go to View and select Fit Artboard in Window, or you can double click the hand tool as a shortcut key to get the entire artboard on screen. And we are going to select everything. So a Control A will select everything on the screen. If you prefer, you can go to Select All. And we are going to use the control panel at the top. We need to select the upper left corner of our proxy, and we're going to change the X and Y locations to an 1/8 inch. So 0.125 for your X position and 0.125 for your Y position, and enter. And that's going to move our logo up into the left-hand corner. We need to increase the size of our logo. Right now it's rather small. We're going to also use the transform to change and make sure that your constraint is held. And we would like to change our width to 250, and you must type in the % key. And if you do this with the constraint on and hit enter, both height and width will increase, and the size is now going to be a little over 7 inches wide by about 3.5 inches tall. We have way too much space on our artboard. We want to limit this to pretty close to the same size as the logo. So we are going to readjust the size of the artboard by selecting the artboard tool in the Tools panel. When that's activated, the artboard edge is surrounded by those lovely little marching ants, and we can grab the size handles and move those to resize that artboard. If you click and drag in to where the artboard is approximately 1/8 of an inch wider than the logo, and grab from the bottom and drag up to where we're a little bit over, and that's pretty close. And then pick up your selection tool, and that is going to exit the artboard editing mode. This is a good place to save. There is a good section on artboard management and using the options for your artboard on page 156. Please read that, become familiar with it. Now we're going to use our layers panel to organize our artwork. We want to create 3 separate versions of the logo. The 4-color version, that's already done. We need a 2-color version for spot color applications and a 1-color version that would be used for jobs that are printed in black only. When we created the artwork, we used 2 layers and a variety of sublayers. Now that the drawing is complete, we want to use layers for a different purpose. We want to create, isolate, and manage multiple versions of the logo in a single file. Make sure that everything is selected on your artboard. If you released it, go ahead and do another select all. And we're going to group our object. In our layers panel, you'll see that we now have everything moved up. And if you turn off the lemon layer, there's nothing there. We have a group that holds everything on one layer. We want to rename the type layer as 4-color logo, because there's nothing on the lemon layer. We can go ahead and delete it. Again, save your file. The next thing we're going to do is to copy the artboard and the artwork that's on it. With the cafe logo selected, choose the artboard tool in the tool panel. There's a name field that comes up in the control panel for the artboard that we have selected. We're going to name this 4-color. Make sure right here that your Move Copy Artwork with Artboard option is turned on. Put your cursor inside the artboard and press down your Alt and your Shift, or your Option Shift key if you're on Mac. Click and drag down. This is going to clone your artboard. You want to be somewhere just below your crop marks that pop up. Release your mouse and you have your new artboard, which is called 4-color copy. With the second artboard active as it is, change the name of this to 2-color. And in the layers panel, we're going to create a new layer. Grab your selection tool, drag a marquee to select all the objects on the new second artboard, and drag the selected art icon from the 4-color layer to the 2-color layer, and name this 2-color logo. We're going to convert the mesh object to a regular path. When we created the gradient mesh in the first part of the project, we saw that adding the mesh removed the original outside path that we drew. When we worked on the mesh, the control panel showed that the selected object was transformed from a path object to a mesh object. We need that flat 2-color version of the logo, and I suppose in retrospect, we probably could have made a copy of that and stored that someplace. There's no real simple one-step process to convert this mesh object back to being a flat path object. So we're going to take a few extra steps to create the flat version. The black only version of the logo is also going to be flat. You're going to create the flat 2-color version first and then clone it. We're going to start by deselecting everything on the artboard. And now in your artboards, double click 2-color to bring that artboard to the front. It's going to fill the space in the document window. Go back into your layers panel and expand your 2-color logo so that you can see everything that's on there. And select the lemon in the layers panel. Now you're going to open your appearance panel. See that option on the side? You can click it and select it, or go into window and select appearance. And you'll see that you have a mesh object. We are going to add a new stroke around this object. The appearance panel gives you more options for things that you can do to an object. Where we couldn't add a stroke just by adding it to the object, we can do it here in the appearance panel. Next, we're going to go to Object, Expand Appearance. This is going to convert the selected object into 2 separate objects. One is the path for the shape stroke, and one is the object's mesh fill. Let's go to our layers panel, and you're going to see that those objects are grouped. In the layers panel, we need to select only the mesh object. With that selected, you can select delete. Make sure at this point that you only delete the mesh. If you hit delete and the entire lemon disappears, undo what you've done, click off to the side of the logo to deselect everything, go back into the layers panel and select the mesh again and then delete, and it should work fine. In the layers panel, again select that path and go to Object, Ungroup. Next, we're going to add a spot color. Spot colors are created with special premixed ink. They produce a color with only one ink layer. They're not built from the standard CMYK process inks or from an RGB. Each spot color in a separation would appear on its own layer. Spot colors are commonly used to reproduce colors that you can't get from blending cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, or for a process color job where you need an exact color. You can choose a spot color from a library that pops up on your screen, but you should really be looking at a printed swatch book to verify that you're using the color you intended to. Special inks exist because the colors can't be reproduced with process inks, and they are not accurate when viewed on the monitor. If you specify spot colors and then convert them to process colors later, you won't get the exact color you were looking for. We're going to go now to Window, Swatch Library, and pick up Books. We're going to look at Color Books, and we want to pick up Pantone Solid Coated. This would be for use on coated paper. Go into your menu and select Small List View so that we can see the colors. And you can scroll through and you can see that there are tons of colors in there. And that's only one color book. And we had lots of them. On your two color artboard layer, make sure that the path is still selected for your lemon. And in the find field, you're going to type in 102, which is going to bring up Pantone 102. You could scroll through it, but we already know the color we want, so it's easier to use the find field. Click on the color, and my mistake, I did not have the fill icon active in the tool panel. I can, however, very easily change this, and we needed to have the stroke color to none anyway, so I don't have a stroke. Next, I'm going to go to my leaf shape. We need to go in and select and target the leaf in the layers panel so that we only get the leaf. We're going to change the fill now to none. The stroke needs to go up to 2 points, and we're going to change the color of that to black. Let's zoom out again. So View, Fit All in Window, and we can actually close that Pantone color chart now. We're going to pick up our artboard tool again, and again we're going to select the artboard, hold down your Alt button and your Shift key, and again drag down. This time you're going to add another layer. Let's collapse this one. Name that layer one color. Pick up your selection tool, select everything on the last artboard. Again, drag that to your one color layer. Pick up your direct selection tool this time. Pick up the lemon, change the fill to none. Then the stroke needs to be, again, a 2 point in black. And you've completed this part of your lesson.